Nearly all Utah renters unable to buy a home in the state, study shows. This is sad. Almost 9 out of 10 people who rent a living space in Utah are unable to afford to buy a home in the state, according to a new analysis provided by the University of Utah's Kem C. Gardner Institute. According to the data shared by the group, as of August, 88% of Utah renters can't afford the cost of a median-priced home in the state, which is $520,000. The study shared how those looking to buy a home in Salt Lake County last year needed an income of $153,000 to make the dream a reality. In Salt Lake County, the gap between the median monthly mortgage payment, $3,600, and monthly rent, $2,475, stands at over $1,100, which shows why many choose to rent rather than own. Renting continues to be the only feasible option for the vast majority of Utahns, even as they aspire to home ownership. These affordability pressures underscore the critical need for more housing supply and policies that support both renters and future homeowners. Utah's housing crisis is a true crisis. We're having a problem. How many Utahns own a home? I had the number and I lost it. Let's see. So as of 2023, approximately 70% of Utah households owned their homes. So first and foremost, that's great. I'm glad to hear 70% as of 2023. I'm sure that number has gone down because a lot of individuals are leaving the state. So here's what I want to talk about. Utahns, the difference between renting and owning is just ever increasing. The prices of homes are ever increasing. I was blessed enough to buy a home at a earlier time. It was one of the first things that my wife and I tried to do is we saved for a year, bought a home. We bought a really a small condo, and everything exploded, and our equity was way more than it ever should have been, and now everything is just ridiculous. And a lot of this is because of a lot of outsiders, wealthy outsiders that are coming into Utah. And that's kind of what I want to talk about. Is Utah, over the last decade, even with our former governor, Governor Herbert, has sold our soul, the culture, and by soul of Utah, I mean the culture, our values, our belief systems, even our religions, have been sold to make money. Now, I won't completely blame them 10 years ago. I understand the desire to want to do and be more, but Utah is continuing and doubling down on the efforts to sell our soul. I've talked about this in the past about The Point. Utah's building The Point, which is going to invite individuals of more wealthy backgrounds with degrees. They're going to be coming from states who do not share our values, and that's not 100% a bad thing. I understand that. But my point is, the more you do this, the more you bring in individuals, especially wealthy individuals, they will not share our values. Utah has a very high amount of international immigrants moving into Utah, especially as of late. These people don't share our values, and it takes 3 to 4 generations for someone to assimilate into a culture, into a value system, into a level of belief system that actually matters to the whole, not individually, because of course I know that Utah is very big with the LDS religion. There's a lot of converts in Utah, and of course when you convert, that tends to be a pretty rapid, quick change in your belief system. But it's not actually, because people continue to learn. I've had individuals when I was on my mission who I would teach, and then they would learn a doctrine and they'd immediately be like, I'm out. I didn't know this. I don't want to be part of the church. And so we you try to talk to them and reason with them and explain why you joined in the first place and all of that. It takes time for people to truly assimilate. So here we are. Utah population tops 3.5 million, but growth rate down slightly. So to me, this is a good news. It's slowing down. Okay. Continual growth, we cannot support it. Utah's running out of water. Utah is running out of houses. We have a housing crisis right now, which I just showed. Part of that is because of demand, and a lot of that is also because of supply. But I think the demand from pushing for better businesses, higher level learning, all of that was way too rapid and way too quick. So let's read this. Utah's population growth slowed slightly in 2024, but the Beehive State still added 50,000 more residents last year, excuse me, with much more of the growth in Utah and Salt Lake counties. Again, like, I don't believe that the world is overpopulated, but we are definitely overpopulating certain areas. Okay, they're way too dense, especially Salt Lake City is extremely way too dense, and Utah County is starting to become way too dense, but hey, they started building over in Eagle Mountain and Saratoga and everything. There was area to grow and to expand in Utah County. In Salt Lake County, there's almost nowhere to expand. That place is topped off. And part of that comes with issues. It means that the demand is going to go up and there's going to be a lack of supply. So I understand that that's also a problem. Natural growth, the balancing of births to deaths, and migration were about equally responsible for the population increase. Migration numbers take the number of people moving in and out of the state to determine if migration rose or fell. Net migration was responsible for 52% of growth, while natural increase accounted for 48%. So what that's saying, if I'm understanding this correctly, is they're doing this as net migration, which means new people to the state. You'd have to double this number, and this number wouldn't exactly be half per se, but this number, sorry, not double. This number would be larger compared to those who left the state. I don't think they actually cover it. So let's put it this way. If 100,000 people came in and 50,000 left, they're saying 50,000 came in, and then 48%, so 40 something number would be the result of net new birthed individuals. So in other words, the people that are coming into Utah, yes, we had a net growth of 52%, but that number should be a lot higher compared to the increase accounted for 48% of new residents. So there's 100% new residents, but that's getting rid of the people who left. And it's not half that are in the state, or not, it's not half of the newcomers were from out of state. It's actually much larger. Okay. So what's happening is Utah residents are being replaced. Now, some of this is natural. Some of this is normal. People grow up. They want to move. People want to leave the state. Some people don't like the culture here. And they're like, I want to go find a culture that's different. Some are looking for better jobs. Sadly, though, I'm seeing a huge increase of individuals on X, on different social medias, who are saying that they have to leave the state because it's too expensive to live here, mostly because of housing. And why is it so expensive for housing? It's because we have encouraged other individuals to come here with wealth. And when they come here, they're going to say, I'm going to buy that house. I don't care what it costs. It can go up because I'm already used to a house that's way more expensive and I get more here. So sure, let's raise the prices. So the supply was extremely low and continued to lower, especially because of what happened during COVID and all of the people leaving the blue states for the most part, fleeing to mostly red states. And here's the deal. If you were in a blue state and you have red leaning intentions, and so you move to Utah because it's like, hey, it's red there, they're a red state, I'm going to go to another red state. Here's the deal. If you grew up in a place, and I say this of Mitt Romney, you do not share the same red beliefs as those who grew up here. Mitt Romney is not a conservative. He is I kind of lean right leftist or Democrat. Okay, because he's from Boston. He's from areas that don't actually represent the same values that Utah has. Now, Utah is changing. It's changing quite rapidly, and it changed way too fast because, again, we've invited people in. So the number, I don't know, maybe I should try to pull the numbers and actually do some math here. I don't know. Here we go. So how are they selling it? Well, do Utahns want a Major League Baseball team? Deseret News. So the reason I'm bringing this up is because part of the way that Utah's doing this is not only have we incentivized big businesses to be here, and yes, of course, that means some individuals are going to be wealthier. It means there's some individuals who are doing fantastic because of the Silicon Slopes and the tech industry that's booming in Utah. There obviously is some good that comes from that, but we have to recognize what it means. I don't mind us getting wealthy, but I want us to get wealthy in a way that still holds to our values. There are individuals that we're bringing in because of our tax incentives to start a business in Utah, but they don't share our same belief system, our same values, our same working values. I've heard bosses from out of state when I've worked at a couple different tech companies, and I've had bosses who have stated that they don't like Utahns because they want to go home at 5. Why do we want to go home? Because we have kids. We have other responsibilities. We volunteer for our church. We volunteer for our communities. We're sending our kids to baseball events and getting them into sports and basketball and all of that. And so Utahns are very busy people, and we're the Deseret state, right? We're a big beehive. Everyone's busy. Everyone's got a job to do. Everyone's trying to do things. But when we invite people in who don't understand the culture and the values that we have, they get frustrated and they get upset with us, which inevitably starts to change our culture. So the reason I bring this up, this is from 2 years ago, August 2023. Do Utahns want a Major League Baseball team? Utah created a bill that allowed us to, if we acquire a Major League Baseball team or a National Hockey League team, which we did, we're calling them the Utah Mammoths, then Utah will subsidize and help pay for the stadiums. Of course, it's coming with some big donors. I forgot. The Miller heirs. So Larry H. Miller's heirs committed like $3.5 billion to build a Major League Baseball stadium. Ryan, I forget his last name, he owns the Jazz. He also committed to spend some money for the National League. But Utah is still subsidizing that. So let's get into this. Do Utahns want a Major League? Overall, you would say yes, right? 81% support having a Major League Baseball franchise in the state. Now, I don't know how this question was asked. If it was just asked this way, here's the deal. Do you want a pool in your backyard? Simple question, right? Do you want one? I think if we were to ask all Utahns, it'd probably be like, yeah, 80%. Like, if I could have a pool in my backyard, I'd love a pool in my backyard. Heck, a lot of Utahns would say, I just want a backyard. So there's another question. Do you want a backyard? I think 90% of Americans would say, yes, I want a backyard. But here's the deal. When you weigh that option against, well, you're going to have to pay for it. You're going to have to subsidize it. You're going to have to actually attend if you want it to go somewhere. We're going to need a little bit more population to actually sustain it. Then do you actually want one? So let's look at that, right? Here's the numbers. Should the public funds be used to build an MLB stadium in Salt Lake City? When was this one ran? This was, was this before? August, June. Yeah, this was before. All right, here's this. A group in Salt Lake City recently announced it's pursuing bringing a Major League Baseball franchise to the state. If a team does come to Utah, would you support or oppose using public funds to build a stadium? 15% strongly support, 32% somewhat support, 20% somewhat oppose, 30% strongly oppose. 4% don't know. So half don't want it. And some of these would definitely end up saying no, which would already bring us over the 50% if we were to like vote on this, right? Now, it's been 2 years. The numbers are going to change. I'm not going to get too much into that because I wouldn't know. But here's the deal. Utahns, it's the idea. Would you like a pool in your backyard? Well, yeah, I would love a pool in my backyard. All right, well, it's going to cost 10 grand, 20 grand, whatever. I don't know what it costs. Well, okay, I'm not going to spend my money on that. I have other things that I'm worried about. Okay. That's what's happening here. Utah Hockey Club is winning. How closely are people watching? So let's look at this. We acquired a National Hockey League team. Utah's new Hockey League team started play this season. How closely or not do you follow this team? 5% very closely, 20% somewhat closely. A quarter of Utahns are actually paying attention to what our Hockey League team is doing. 30, not too closely, not at all. 75%, 3/4 of Utah are hardly even paying attention. They don't care. They're like, yeah, there's a hockey team. I'm aware of them. They're in Utah. Okay. This isn't something that is bringing in money. This isn't something that is helping our economy. The only thing it's doing is it's being subsidized by the Utah citizens. Did you know that Utah is the highest taxed red state in the nation? Now, that's not based just on like the income tax, because the income tax, I think, is 4.6 or 4.7 or something. I don't remember exactly. But when you take in the sales tax and all other taxes, property tax, when you add it all together, it amounts to about 9.8% of your income. So about a tenth. So Utahns are paying a tenth of their income to the Utah government, a tenth of their income, not every Utahn, I understand, but a lot of them, a tenth of their income to the LDS Church, and then anywhere from 10 to 30, 40%, 10 to 30%, anywhere in there to the federal government. So Utahns, at minimum, are spending about 30% not on themselves. 30% of their money isn't going to them. It's not helping them per se directly. It's going to all these other things. And they're trying to, how often do you plan to attend a Utah Hockey Club in person? More than 20 games, 0%, 2%, 11 to 20 games, 5%, 5 to 10 games, less than 530. So we have 37% who are like, yeah, I'll go to a game. And 62% are like, I don't care to go. The majority of Utahns are not going. People are not going to be coming there. This isn't a huge tourist attraction, especially for the National Hockey League. I'm sorry, you guys are awesome. I do like the idea of hockey. I've watched a couple games, but it's not a big pull. People don't travel to different states generally to watch these hockey games. They're not big, huge money makers here. And I'm sorry, if we did the MLB, I don't think it would be either. Unless maybe unless we created like a brand new team or something, but Utah's looking to acquire a team. So basically what Utah's doing is we are trying to subsidize for billionaires to have their own pet projects. A billionaire wants to put $3.5 billion. Let them do it. Why does Utah have to put $900 million into building a major MLB, Major League Baseball? We don't need a stadium. Okay, I don't want to spend $100 billion of Utah tax dollars to build a stadium. If they want to do it in the private sector, go ahead. Let them figure it out privately. I don't care. But Utahns should not be having to foot the bill. Utahns should not be having to pay for this. I feel the same way about the Olympics. The last time the Olympics came, everyone said it was going to boost our economy. I don't think it did. It didn't. We made some upgrades. Upgrades were needed. So sure, it was kind of nice. So maybe you could say there was a net benefit, maybe a little bit, but I don't think there's going to be a net benefit this go around for 2034. Is that when they're coming? So on top of that, let's look at this. Okay. Governor Cox, a look into Cox's $21.7 billion proposal in first budget as Utah governor. So Governor Cox proposed $21 billion, his first budget. It wasn't too much bigger. We were around 20 billion. So he's like, let's increase it a little bit. Sure. Why not? Do you want to know what his budget for the next year was? His proposal? Oh, not that one. This one right here. Utah Governor Cox unveils $30.6 billion budget. This is his first budget reveal for his second term. His first term was 20 billion. How did we go from 21 billion increase or 20 billion to 30 billion? How did we go from, a little bit of an increase to a 50% increase? This is insane. This is absolutely insane that our budget, he was proposing 30.6. I don't remember what it actually turned out to be. What is, sorry guys. What is Utah's 2026 budget? Come on. Total operating capital budget, 30.6 billion. Yep. Okay. He kept it. They got it. It did pass. So our legislator, our government, our governor do not like you. They do not share the values of Utahns. They're actively actually trying to kick you out by raising the prices of our housing, by bringing in outsiders to bring in wealth and money. They are destroying Utah's values. They are destroying the good nature of the people who live here, and they're trying to get you to leave. You know who has to leave? It's going to be your children. They're not going to be able to afford a home. They're going to have to leave. It's going to be those that are struggling the most among us. Those that love Utah, want to be a part of Utah, that deserve Utah. And if our prices weren't hiked up because of subsidizing things like the National Football League by building or Hockey League, the MLB, by subsidizing the Jazz, by putting money into the Point and creating government-styled housing, the government is going to own the Point. They're going to build high density housing, and they're going to be building companies to bring in outsiders, more foreign wealthy people who are not going to have your values, who are not going to share your beliefs. They're going to come here because they want to make a quick buck. And anyone who's willing to make the quick buck is more than willing to sell out the soul of Utah or your soul directly. And Utahns are going to be the ones that are suffering. We are losing our state if we have not already lost our state. I don't know if we can bring it back. Because again, your children are not going to be able to afford homes. They're going to have to leave. And when our children start leaving, there will be no more Utah. This will not be the Deseret state. It will be the hollowed out shell of what used to be. I'm going to leave it there. Go ahead and reply in the comments if you disagree. Like this video, subscribe. If you happen to know anybody who lives in Utah and likes Utah, share this video. If they hate Utah, share this video so that they can complain to me on X. You can find me at Reese J. Crockett. You can find me on YouTube and Rumble at Reese Crockett or at Reese J. Crockett. And until next time.